Hey y'all, Big Tim here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Old School and Bass with Big Tim. So when I last talked to you, we were talking about the Bassmaster Classic. And I kind of had Stetson Blaylock stuck in my head, and I thought it was a mistake, but boy, did he almost pull it off. That was pretty interesting watching that third day of the Classic on Sunday and looking at Bass Track and everything else. Now, I was working, so I was just sneaking a peek here and there. And see who was doing what. I was fortunate enough to get off when we clocked out at 6 o'clock. I got in my truck. I turned on the weigh-in and listened to it driving home. I was able to make it home as they were setting up the stage for the Super 6. So I was able to see all six of those guys weigh in from the comfort of the couch as opposed to listening to it. And I was really shocked because Bass Track, they cut it off at a certain time. But I was really shocked that Jason Christie ended up pulling that out. Really thrilled for him. He fishes the old school way, but he is starting to do the live scope deal. Most of his fish came from live scope. There was a little argument one time on Facebook about him not catching them anyway but shallow. But yeah, he caught a bunch of fish on the live scope in that ditch using his little minnow that's to be introduced. But yes, on Sunday, he caught the majority of his fish on that jig, which is really, really cool. Everybody would have thought it would have been a spinnerbait. So congratulations to Jason Christie. What an awesome classic it was. I actually am excited to see the actual edited video and everything when it comes out. I watched a lot of the live footage before I had to go to work. And on Saturday before I went and did some errands, before I got my batteries. One thing about the production of the Bassmaster series, I really wish they would reconsider the fact of how they edit the show. And what I mean by that is, they think the most important part is watching the guy land the fish and grab it at the side of the boat. To me, the whole process is the exciting part, and they have plenty of time to fill. Show the hook set, show the fish jumping, then show him getting it in the boat. Not just repeatedly showing him grabbing over the side of the boat to get the fish. That is just, it just irks me so bad. I wish they would reconsider that. There was a show earlier in the year. It was from St. John's River. And Bob Downey was fishing this little creek, and y'all probably seen it. But when he set the hook on this fish, I think it was about an 8-pounder or whatever. When he set the hook on the fish, he's facing this way, and the fish jumps behind the boat. And that was just so exciting to watch him fight that fish around the boat and get it around. And all they kept showing over and over and over again was him grabbing the fish at the side of the boat. I only got to see the fish jump on the far side of the boat one time. And it was a really cool jump, too. So I really wish they would reconsider that. The fish are the star of the show. Not the fish landing. It's the whole thing. It's the, like I said, it's the hook set, it's the fight, it's the adrenaline, the thought process, everything. I think they really need to reconsider how they produce the TV and live feature, really, all of it. Now, on that same page, if a guy loses a fish at the side of the boat, you will definitely see that multiple times. And I'm not a fan of that. I think in one of my earlier videos, I mentioned how I was not a fan of how they kept showing Jason Christie and how he slapped the water because he missed landing a fish back at that Grand Lake Classic that Edwin Evers won. And they just kept showing that over and over and over. And it's, I get it. You want to try to build some controversy or whatever else. But, it's not about that. It's about everything. It is about the landing, but it's about the catching too. It's about the hook sets. It's all of it. So I really wish they would reconsider how they produce a show. And it's been like this for years. This is the way Jerry McInnes wanted to do it, and it's been done this way for the last 10 or 15 years. And I guess maybe because in the old days there was the Bassmaster, it wasn't a Bassmaster Classic, but it was one of the TV shows where actually it may have been a classic. It's been like this for this long because probably the old guys remember this, that there was, I believe it was a Bassmaster Classic, where one of the competitors had a fish and brought it in the side of the boat, and it flopped around and jumped out. And that cost that fellow the tournament. And that was at the beginning of every episode of the Bassmasters back when it was on TNN. So, that heartbreak is something that people remember. But I don't think you need to see it 50 times over the weekend. And maybe I'm exaggerating 50 times, but it is a lot. And, when you see somebody that loses a fish at the side of the boat, you watch. It will be on that episode, that particular episode, that day, at least 10 or 15 times. So over the weekend, you keep amping that up. If it happens on Friday, you'll see it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it just, it gets old. That's, we know it happened. You don't have to show it every 35 seconds, whatever. That's just me ranting. Sorry. But anyway, man, it's getting warm here. Can't wait to get out. Hopefully catch some fish. Haven't even casted a lure yet. I've tied plenty on, but haven't cast it. And that brings me to what I'm in my boat for right now. I'm sitting here, I'm getting ready. It's actually a gorgeous day, and I probably should have went fishing today. I told you I was going to go fishing that Saturday of the Classic, but it was so windy, and a couple of the guys that wanted to go with me had canceled out. I ended up just getting my batteries done, so we've got that fixed. We got new batteries in the boat. We are ready for the season. And today is a nice day. I probably should have went, but instead, here I am sitting in the boat playing with rods and reels. And, that's sometimes almost as fun. And we have been talking about spinnerbaits. And a couple of my buddies have been making fun of me, talking about how I have an affinity for spinnerbaits. And that's not entirely true, because for years, I didn't have any faith in one. And when I say years, it was just 3 years ago, really. The year before I started this channel. I was not catching fish on a spinnerbait. I had stopped throwing it. Didn't have any interest in it. And, other people would throw them, like my dad, big spinnerbait aficionado. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't throw it. I hated it. I didn't even want to think about it. But a couple of good trips out had taught me the importance of a spinnerbait. So here I am, sitting here thinking about spinnerbaits. And this is the one that I had on tied on at the end of the year. This is generally what I use. My standard War Eagle 3/8 ounce. This might be a half. No, this is definitely 3/8. 3/8 ounce chartreuse and white double willow. And there's going to be one change. I used to keep it on a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel. And 5-to-1s have been really hard to find lately. I have searched. In fact, if you're a guy that likes cranking or spinnerbaiting with a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel, you better buy them up now, because I see in not the distant future, they're going to be obsolete. I really believe these companies are going to stop making them. Shimano right now, they only make one reel in the 5-to-1, and it's the Corrado. The Chronarch doesn't have any. The SLX, none of them. The Corrado is the only one. And from Daiwa, I think it's the 150 model, is the only one they have in a 5-to-1 gear ratio. When I was looking, I think the only one that Lew's has is the BB1. So I look for them to discontinue those very quickly, probably in the next couple of years. So if you find any and you think you're going to use them, you might want to buy them, hoard them up, store them, whatever else, because I think they're going to be obsolete in a couple of years. I've still got my old Johnny Morris reels. I just sent these off to our buddy Sam, and some of you guys that are friends with Sam may have seen them. He made a video because he put new batteries in these bad boys. These are at least 15 years old. These are old Johnny Morris, and I've had them, like I said, since 15 years. They've been through a lot. They've been my cranking reels for just about everything except square bill. I've always liked a slower gear ratio reel. And since I thought they were getting hard to find, I decided to go ahead and put new bearings in them. So I'm real excited to get these out and try them out, see how they cast. May backlash a few dozen times, but yeah, if you're a guy that wants 5-to-1s, have a look around, see what you find, but keep in mind you may have a tough time finding them. Now the difference between a 5-to-1 and a 6-to-1 gear ratio reel is normally only about 3 inches per turn of the handle. I don't have my chart with me, I just remember 3 inches. Actually, I don't need the chart. I know that these do 23 inches line every time you crank the handle. So that means that a 6-to-1 would do 26 inches line. About there. That's the ones that I have. So it's not that much, but it is enough to make a little bit of a difference as far as the fish go. So you may not notice the difference, but the fish will. And you know, that slower speed, the 5-to-1 gear ratio reel, may get you a couple extra bites, because let's face it, you can always speed up, but it's really tough to slow down, even for an old guy like me. I generally have a certain cadence, and I want to reel the same speed every time, no matter what I'm throwing. I adjust the speed of the lure with the gear ratio. I want my hand always going the same speed. So you may take that into consideration. And also, you can not fill up the spool as much. That'll make a difference, and change your line diameter sometimes. So in doing that, I found a reel that I'd actually forgotten about. I had it, I bought it. I've had it for 4 or 5 years. I had it sitting in the bottom of the boat, and I bought it for topwater originally. And yeah, it was doing good for topwater, but how often do I do topwater compared to a spinnerbait? I found a Concept C that was just laying in the belly of the boat with braid on it for topwater. So I decided to make this my new spinnerbait setup. It's going to be a little quicker than my old Johnny Morris's, but I'm real excited to get this out there. This is so light, I just can't wait to use it. It's going to be incredible, I think. So, sitting here thinking about the spring, I'm going to take this spinnerbait off. So the spinnerbait I just cut off, my old War Eagle, it's a good bait, and you can definitely get bit with it in the spring if the water's clear. This is generally a nice clear water spinnerbait. With all the rain that we've had locally, depending on where I go, I don't know whether I'm going to go to the river my first trip out, whether I'm going to go to Williamstown. I probably won't be going to Cumberland. I definitely won't be going as much this year because of the gas prices. $4 plus a gallon. Yeah, that's going to limit me. I figured it up the other day. I think the cost for me to get to Williamstown from here is about $140 just in gas in the truck. That's not even counting the boat. So just to get there and back costs $140. So that's going to limit my trips to Cumberland, Dale Hollow, and stuff like that. But depending on where I'm going around here, I want to get some of that orange blade in there. This one is a War Eagle. The old color that I like, chartreuse and white. But notice that orange kicker blade. I've played with this. I learned this lesson on the river one day. A guy from up in Ohio stomped me on one of these red blades when we were fishing at BFL. This one's a Tempo, local made here. It's a little smaller. This one's a little heavier. They're both pretty small. But for the muddy water, I want that kicker blade. That's why some of the Jason Christie's baits that he's got from Booyah that have the orange blades are real popular now. But just about everybody makes them with these orange blades. This is maybe what you want to think about now. This is probably the one I'm going to go with because it's a little heavier. I can cast it a little easier, get it up under things, and yeah, just a little bit easier to use. This one's a good one for the river because it is lighter, but if I'm going to a lake or whatever, I want to be able to make longer distance casts too. Hopefully you can get out soon and get out and catch some fish and try some spinnerbaits, try chatterbait, try an Alabama rig. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you the next time.